Fermentation fever has swept through wellness culture, transforming kitchen counters into mini laboratories of bubbling jars and neon-colored bottles. Kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir. These products are everywhere, and the marketing claims are just as fizzy. Better gut health, more energy, clearer skin, improved immunity, and even mental benefits. At first glance, it feels like science finally meets tradition, but the truth is far more complicated and far less reassuring than the hype suggests. While fermented foods do contain live bacteria and other compounds that can theoretically support digestive function, the assumption that daily consumption will magically diversify or optimize the microbiome is overstated, sometimes misleading, and in certain cases, potentially risky. The main appeal of fermented foods is their probiotics, the live microorganisms believed to confer health benefits when consumed in adequate amounts. Kefir and yogurt have measurable strains. Kimchi and sauerkraut contain lactic acid bacteria, and kombucha boasts a mix of yeasts and bacteria in a sweetened, fermented tea base. Prebiotics, non-digestible fibers that feed gut bacteria, are also present in small amounts in some products, but not consistently, and often at levels that are unlikely to make a meaningful impact. The result is a paradox. People are pouring money into these trendy foods expecting a precise boost to gut microbiome diversity, yet the actual evidence supporting these outcomes is patchy, context-dependent, and rarely replicable outside controlled studies. Marketing rarely mentions this uncertainty. Influencers frame gut health as a quantifiable target, implying that drinking a bottle of kombucha or adding kimchi to every meal will turn the microbiome into a supercharged metabolic engine. But the reality is more nuanced. The gut microbiome is highly individualized, influenced more by overall diet quality, sleep, stress, medication use, and genetics than by a handful of fermented foods. Consuming these products may temporarily introduce live microbes to the digestive tract, but the majority do not colonize the gut long-term. Any boost is often transient, and the diversity gains people hope for are not guaranteed. The psychological boost of ritual consumption, feeling proactive about health, can create a strong placebo effect that feels real, which further fuels the hype. The sugar content and acidity of some fermented foods is another red flag that is frequently overlooked. Kombucha, for instance, often contains significant sugar to feed fermentation. Drinking a bottle a day can inadvertently increase daily sugar intake, with consequences for blood sugar, weight management, and dental health. Even homemade kombucha carries the risk of overfermentation, contamination with harmful bacteria, or excess alcohol production. For those with sensitive stomachs, high amounts of fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, can trigger bloating, gas, diarrhea, or exacerbate irritable bowel symptoms. People often assume if a little is good, more must be better. But the gut is far more delicate than wellness marketing portrays. There's also the danger for certain vulnerable populations. Teens and young adults, whose microbiomes are still developing, may tolerate these foods, but high sodium content in kimchi and sauerkraut can be excessive if consumed daily. Immunocompromised individuals or people with chronic digestive disorders may be at risk of opportunistic infections from unpasteurized or improperly handled products. And because most fermented foods are sold as foods rather than regulated supplements, quality control is inconsistent. Potency claims, strain identification, and microbial counts are rarely verified, leaving consumers assuming they are ingesting live, beneficial bacteria when they might not be. Moreover, the cultural framing of fermentation as a panacea for modern health anxieties obscures the broader context of a balanced diet. Eating a varied diet rich in whole vegetables, fiber, and minimally processed foods has a far more consistent impact on microbiome diversity than any single trend food. Fermented foods can complement a healthy diet, but they do not replace foundational practices such as eating vegetables, maintaining regular sleep, and limiting ultra-processed foods. The danger is that the fermentation fever mindset encourages people to chase a trendy solution rather than adopt sustainable, evidence-based habits. Even for people with relatively healthy digestive systems, the obsession with fermented foods can create unnecessary rigidity and anxiety. Measuring gut health by the number of jars or bottles consumed, or by the perceived immediacy of digestive benefits, fosters an unhealthy transactional relationship with food. People can develop a sense of guilt when they skip their daily kefir or kimchi, believing they've undermined their microbiome. This approach mirrors the pitfalls of other wellness trends, turning food from nourishment into a quantified, performance-oriented metric, and it rarely leads to long-term health improvements. In the end, fermentation is not inherently bad. It has cultural, culinary, and potential health value, especially when consumed in moderation as part of a diverse diet. But the feverish obsession with turning fermented foods into a daily health ritual exaggerates benefits, minimizes risks, and misrepresents scientific evidence. The most reliable path to gut health remains broader dietary and lifestyle consistency, not chasing every trend that promises a probiotic shortcut. For many, the risks, high sugar, high sodium, digestive upset, and false security about overall health, outweigh the improving gains. Fermentation fever may feel modern and trendy, but it is not the magic microbiome hack it is marketed to be.